Hello. Do you want to know what I do when life feels like huge, so overwhelming? Hi, my name is Kathy Robert. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Awakening Waves. I'd like to talk about that today, about when life feels huge with too many decisions, a lot of emotions, responsibilities, feeling frozen, foggy, or scattered. And I've got my notes, which I talk about. I am a notes person. Um, so I tend to lose my track, and I don't want to do that with you. So this week in particular has been pretty big for me. It's been a week about my son's pending graduation on Sunday. It's been a week with tension and disappointments with the decisions that I've made, working on my YouTube channel and trying not to be disappointed with lack of numbers, because that's not why I've made this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel, I'm trying to, make it all about my helping people and not about the numbers. Ugh. You know, I've got allergies and my nose is the first thing that gets all itchy. So excuse that. I'm not trying to pick my nose or anything. Ew. So anyway, I'm also trying to create an income because I've had reliable income, but with my children getting older, there's going to be a time where they're going to want to leave the house, and then I won't have that income from them, and I won't have child support because my son is moving off to college in the fall. So this week my dog was sick too. I was pretty worried about her. I've had household chores because my house is constantly messy, or cluttered is the nice way to put it. I've had bills, and my future just feels a little uncertain. So I've worked really hard these past few years. And again, you'll have to excuse the movement of my phone because it is a phone. Being a brand new channel, I don't have the income to get the stuff that's not shaky and that stays still and all that stuff. I have a very small budget, so everything is very tight, and trying to buy other things is not something I can do. So, I've had several days this week where I felt like I could have easily spiraled out of control, where I just wanted to just shut down and forget that anything existed, because it felt so huge and so overwhelming. And if you feel like that, and this is why you're watching my video, then you can understand how it's kind of traumatic all on its own. You're not quite sure what to do. You could be in an in-between phase where you're kind of not frozen, but you're not exactly unfrozen. You're what they call functional frozen or functional freeze, where you can do things like errands and going for rides, or standing in line at the grocery store, or even talking on the phone for a little bit. I've worked really hard on discovering what doesn't help me. And so I have a list here. One of the big things is I try to take everything and solve it, and it has to be solved. And what that does is that can make you spiral into this panicky feeling, this anxiety. And after you're finished with that, you kind of get dropped down into depression and that sick feeling in your stomach, that anxiety, and some people cope with that by doom scrolling, which is where you just spend hours and hours of watching these little short videos, whether on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or any other social media platform. And being hard on yourself, not giving yourself compassion and empathy and just grace, because every human in the world, in their own way, suffers. And when you're in this particular thing, it's suffering. And it doesn't help you. Today I was coming home from dropping off my son. He had a rehearsal for his graduation. And I started to think about my future and how I was going to show everybody, I'm going to make it, I'm going to do good. And then I was like, wait a second, I don't need to do that. I don't need to validate anyone outside of myself. The only person who really needs to really understand you, who really approves of whatever you're doing or not doing, is you. When you can look at yourself in the mirror every night and say, you did the best you could. You didn't go out of your way to hurt anybody. You didn't go out of your way to piss anybody off. You didn't go out of your way to upset or hurt anyone. So you did the best you could. And one big thing is, don't compare yourself to anything or anyone, and mostly anyone. There's a lot of people who are more successful than you, but there's a lot of people who aren't. We're all just trying to make our way home in one way or another. And that's it. That's all we're trying to do. And it might be helpful if we all could help each other, yeah? So, it kind of starts with you. So don't compare yourself to anyone else, okay? Now, I have a list here about what doesn't help me, right? And I just went over that. I should remember that, right? But what does help me is focusing on the one thing. In this case, today I'm making this video. Hold on one second. I had to pause because people don't seem to care that I'm making a video. And that's another thing that can create overwhelm, is when you let something like that stop you in your tracks. And that's something that I'm very, very good at doing, especially these past few years. One thing I like to do is go for a ride or make a small errand. Go run to the store and pick up something. You don't need to do a whole grocery list. Just pick up something and then come back. It's like maybe 15, 20 minutes, depending on how far the store is from you, depending if you drive or if you walk. And walking might actually help you better than driving. But in my case, I like to take long rides. I have a circular route that I like to take, actually more than one. I have several circular routes that I've taken, that I go up one route, come back down another route and circle around, and then I'm back home. And some of them last for over an hour and some are just for 15, 20 minutes. It depends on the mood, right? Sometimes taking a shower helps. Not a bath, although if you find that really soothing, then go ahead. But sometimes I find that if you're like stuck in a bathtub, for instance, and maybe that's exactly what it is, you're stuck in the bathtub because your mind starts going off in different directions and you start thinking really hard and overthinking, and before you know it, you're spiraling, right? But a shower is, you just have to be in there. You don't necessarily have to wash your body or your hair. You just let the water run down on your scalp and down your body, and imagine that all those dark, cloudy emotions are going down the drain. And ask the world or the earth or Mother Gaia, however you say it, say, Mother Gaia, please accept this and let it dissipate within the ether or the universe, or however you want to put it. You can even go on Google and say, what is a good thing to say as I wash my negative emotions down the shower drain? And I bet it'll come up with something. You could make a comfortable mug of tea. Maybe make a small snack. You don't have to overeat. You don't want to necessarily drink alcohol. It's only going to mask any emotions that you have. So I love tea sations or something like that. There's a company out there that has all these wonderful teas. It's a mixture of all these different kinds of herbs and stuff. I like chamomile vanilla. I like lemon tea. There's an apple tea that they have, and I'm not big on like tea necessarily, but these particular ones they have, it's just it's just lovely, and it makes me feel calm even when I need to have energy, you know? Or how about sitting with one of your pets? In my case, my dog is with me all the time. She needs to be with me right here, as a matter of fact. She sleeps on my bed, and when I go downstairs, she stays on my chair. She sits right next to me. And when I'm up here for a long time, she's not thrilled with me at all. As a matter of fact, I'll go downstairs and I'll say, "Hey, Izzy, you want to come sit with me?" And she looks at me like, "Really? Really? You go and you desert me, and now you want me to sit with you?" And then 10, 15 minutes will go by, and I'll ask her again, and then she'll come. She has to make me pay first. And then watching a comforting video. You know what I like to do when I'm like kind of dropping into that kind of mood where you just feel sad or you feel depressed, is I'll watch Friends, or I'll watch The Big Bang Theory, or you can watch anything that makes you laugh. And if you don't want something to make you laugh, sometimes I'll watch something about the royalty in Britain, or I'll watch something history, and not like wars or anything like that, you know, like I don't know, ancient civilizations or UFOs or something spiritual, even documentaries that are out there. It's very interesting to me. You can watch something that's interesting to you, but that's not going to make you feel sad. So don't watch no sad movies or, you know, things about people dying, because that's not very uplifting. Of course, recording videos. This video will be my 11th video, which is like, holy crap. I just remember making that first video and being like, oh my God, I made a video. And, you know, every week it's actually, I kind of drag my feet. And that's why it hasn't been, you know, consistently like on Thursdays or consistently on Tuesdays, that kind of thing, because I reach a point where I'm almost not sure I want to do it. But I enjoy this. I enjoy talking and telling people about my story and knowing that there's people out there who are similar to me, and we're kind of in the same boat. Maybe not exactly the same problems, or, you know, maybe you didn't have a complete shutdown, but you're having a hard time. You know, being motivated, being able to clean your house. There's all sorts of ways where you can be in a functional freeze. You don't have to have a complete shutdown, I don't think, at least in my opinion. But again, I'll put it out there. I'm not a professional. I don't have any letters after my name. I don't know anything huge about mental health. All I know is what I've gone through and what I've witnessed others going through and what they've told me about it. So you can also remember that I have this analogy, if you will, about a well. I went down into a very deep well, and it took me a little while to realize there was a ladder in the well. And it's been a process for me, but you take one rung at a time. Sometimes that takes days or weeks or months, but that's okay. Don't worry about time. Just do what's best for you, where you don't feel like you're over traumatizing yourself again, you know. And not that we asked for trauma, but But when you keep revisiting something like that, you can actually re-traumatize yourself. So be careful with that. Um, in the spiritual sense, they have a thing that goes around, and they talk about grounding. And grounding is not finding answers. Grounding, I'm sorry, when you're 60, things ache. I have an achy elbow, and when I'm bending it like that, it hurts. So I gotta switch hands. Grounding yourself is almost literally touching the ground. When you're in a spiral, when you feel panicky, or you're really highly anxious, or you feel completely depressed, or you're thinking things that I don't want you to think, okay? Because everybody is needed in this world, and trying not to be in pain, there are other ways than not existing anymore. Let's not do that. And I'll have a number in my description where you can text or you can call. My eyes, can't see myself, I'm all blurry. Where you can call, it's a 3-digit number, very easy to remember, and you can talk to someone live. And you don't have to wait for an appointment like you do when you meet a therapist or anything like that. So, another thing is staying in the present moment. In spiritual circles, they talk about how there's no past and there's no present, there's just now, and now, and now, and now. Everything you think, do, and feel is all now. And instead of trying to think about all the bad things that happened behind you before just this moment, or all the things that could happen or won't happen that are in front of you, that are part of the future, don't do that. Just think about now. Take a deep breath. There's box breathing that they call, where you do an even amount of counting. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, but slower. Hold your breath for 4 and release for 4, something like that. And then there's where you don't want to hyperventilate, so you can inhale for 6, hold your breath for maybe 4 or 5, and then let your breath out for maybe 7 or 8 counts. And you keep doing that until you feel a little calmer and you don't have that squirrely feeling in your belly. I want to say in closing that life is a huge journey. I'd like to say that it's mostly uphill, but when you look at a mountain, you're not always going straight up. You go zigzagging up, you can go around the mountain, try not to overwhelm yourself, and, take one step at a time. Instead of looking at the top of the mountain, how about you just look right in front of you? Look down to make sure you don't trip and fall. That's what you got to do when you're hiking. And I'm going to leave you with a quote from Martin Luther King. Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. And isn't that the way? You can do this. And you're not alone. I'm here. Your guides are here. Your spirit helpers, your spirit guides, your guardian angels, there's archangels, there's God. There's so much help out there in the ether. So talk to the ether, because basically you're talking to your higher self and you're talking to all of them. And if you quiet your brain and listen to your heart and your soul, you could possibly hear them talking back to you. But listen to your intuition. It will help you along the way. You're not alone. Again, I'll say that again and again and again. You're not alone. So make sure you subscribe, share, and like this video, because it helps it grow. And we can build ourselves a community of like-minded people who are just trying to heal, right? And know that I love you. Take care.